Okay. Good morning, guys. Can you turn on your cameras so that I can see your lovely little faces today? Okay, great. Okay. So, let's begin with today's class. So today is our second lesson for this week. We are continuing with economic activity, but we want to target what are the effects, be it positive effects or negative effects. What are the effects that these economies have on certain Caribbean countries? Our objectives for this week, we have defined the three types. So that's what we did last class. Explaining the key concepts of development. That is what we want to touch a little bit today. And as well, we want to assess the resources. So assess the different economies that a country has. So the first one that we're going to start off with is bauxite and alumina. And there is one Caribbean island, which is Jamaica, that has bauxite and aluminum. They mine for it, and other countries, Guyana and Suriname, which are close to the Caribbean but not necessarily in the Caribbean. So now, bauxite is a mineral that contains aluminum oxide, and that is mined. So now, what happens here is that there are these landfills that they have where you have factories, not really a factory, it's like an industry that mines and digs certain areas and they collect soil. They take truckloads of soil and they take it to the factory where that is processed, and they separate what is soil, what is not important, what they do not want, from the alumina and the bauxite, that's minerals that they want to take. So basically, they just dig areas and dig areas where they know that this is found, and they take it to the factory that refines it, separates what the bauxite is, and then whatever they don't want, then they just dispose of that. All right. Alumina now is smelted. Now, in Jamaica, they do extract bauxite. That bauxite is a primary sector resource because it's something that I take out directly from the earth. That then is processed so that alumina can be made. And that alumina is taken out of Jamaica to another country that has industries and factories that takes the alumina and changes it to aluminium. And that is how you get certain products from aluminium. For example, your foil is made out of aluminium. So that foil takes a lot of process for it to be made. You have to mine the bauxite. You have to mine the soil. You have to take it to a factory so that the bauxite is removed from the soil. That bauxite is then taken to somewhere else so that alumina can be manufactured. And that alumina is taken somewhere else so that aluminium can be manufactured. And then that aluminium is taken somewhere else so that they can use it to make other products, such as like the foil that I mentioned. All right. So I am going to show you guys these are just some of the examples of what things can be made from bauxite. But for example, here in Belize, we don't really use fire bricks. Fire bricks are used mostly like in the United States where they want to make a chimney. You need special bricks for that, not regular cement blocks like the ones we use to build houses. Those are not good for chimney or areas to hold heat. So fire bricks, you have special cement that withstands high temperatures. Again, we don't really use those things, or those aren't really popular here in Belize because we don't really have purpose for them. But areas where, for example, people that live close to volcanoes, and it's hot usually around those areas, and that is where they mostly purchase these things. You have insulators, you have to make roads, factory floors, airport runways, and then aluminum sulfate and other chemicals. So those are just some of the uses of bauxite. So I'm going to show you guys a short clip. Let me know if you can hear it. If you can hear it, just type yes in the chat box, right? Okay, so from that video, there are there were quite a few things that were mentioned about backside. Somebody did not say it orally, but if you guys were dismiss your mic. Okay, sorry about that. Now, I was saying that in the video, there were quite a few things that were mentioned about bauxite mining, the effects that bauxite mining has on the environment and on its people. In the chat, I want you guys, and we're gonna do the waterfall. You are gonna write one effect, one negative effect that you saw in the video. And when I count to three, everybody's gonna send it at the same time so that I see if you guys are actually reading the captions that were coming out in the video, right? So think about it. One thing that was a negative effect of bauxite mining in this country, be it on the environment, on the flora, on the fauna, or on the people. All right. So think about it, type it, hold it. When I say send, everybody's gonna send together. All right. At the count of three, one, two, and three. Send your answers. Let's go, guys. I'm supposed to have 22 answers in the chat. Don't worry if somebody else has said what you have said. Just type one thing that caught your attention. What was one negative thing that bauxite has done for the environment? Okay, so let's see. Send your answers, send your answers. I have dirty water. Wildlife is at risk. It can kill about 3,000 chimpanzees. Mudslides, very good. I don't think I saw them say mudslides, but mudslides is a definite cause, and I'm going to discuss why. Food and water deprivation, very good. Dirty water, mudslides, pollution of the air, very good. It's the area is dirty. There is dirty water. That's mudslides or pollution. Dirty water, mudslides. There is air pollution, dirty water, pollution. Okay. So now, what does what are the effects that bauxite mining has on the environment? If you guys took a look at what they showed, the aerial views, it looks like a lot of dirt. It looks like a lot of soil. And this soil has been dug into, has been moved, and just has been thrown back there. Now, when people are mining for bauxite, they are taking out all of the minerals from the soil. So now what does that mean? If this area has been dug, the bauxite has been removed, the minerals has been removed, that soil is no longer useful. Nothing can grow there, nothing can live there. The soil can't even hold each other. It's like just dust there. So if a strong wind were to come, it will blow away everything. Now, what has that caused? That has caused for the water around that area to no longer be good drinkable water. But people that live in that area don't have another choice. They have to, because there is no other source. So that's why you saw when the person was pouring the water into the bucket, the dirt was in the pan, but the water still looked yellow. Those people still drink it like that because there is no other way of getting clean water where they live. The forestries have been destroyed. I didn't see anybody see deforestation, but deforestation is another negative impact of bauxite mining. In this specific country, they targeted chimpanzees because chimpanzees is one of their prestige animals. Just like Belize has tapirs and has the toucan, then in this country it is chimpanzees, and that's why they were targeting chimpanzees in this one. But not only chimpanzees are affected. If they are deforesting and the forests are being destroyed, all the fauna that live in the forest no longer have where to go. So this is what bauxite mining basically was and the effects that bauxite mining has. And we're going to move on to the other one, which is oil and natural gas. And your assignment number 2 talks about oil and oil drilling. All right. So now in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago is the only country that has oil and natural gas as one of its primary sources of income, meaning that they have their oil drill and they can extract these things in large quantities and they can export it out. At some point, Belize wanted to do the same because it was believed that there was, I don't know if you guys remember, you were in primary school when there was a whole big fiasco about oil drilling. Yes to oil drilling, no to oil drilling here in Belize. All right, but that was, if that would have happened, then Belize would have had its oil rig um, here, either inland or on the sea. All right, but Trinidad and Tobago produces 20% of oil in the land, so it extracts from the land, but it also extracts from the waters that are around it. Trinidad and Tobago are two islands, right? But both of them have the same governance. So there are two islands that are not far from each other, and these islands produce or extract oil and natural gas from the earth, and they use that as a source of income. Now, I do have another video for you guys to watch. Pay attention to the video, and at the end, I will ask you guys the same thing. What is one effect that you guys saw that oil drilling causes? All right.
The ocean is more than two-thirds of the Earth's surface. It is home to 80% of the planet's biodiversity, making it one of the largest ecosystems in the world. With so much abundance and wildlife, you'd think this ecosystem would be the definition of healthy. However, another factor plays a role into the ocean's well-being. For years, oil spills both big and small have polluted the ocean, harming its marine life. Mammals like dolphins and whales are at risk of inhaling the crude oil, which can affect their lungs, immune function, and reproduction. The oil also has a chance of clogging their blowholes, making it impossible for them to breathe. According to the NOAA, oil destroys the insulating ability of fur-bearing mammals, such as sea otters, and the water repellency of a bird's feathers, thus exposing these creatures to harsh elements. Without the ability to repel water and insulate from the cold water, birds and mammals will die of hypothermia. Oil spills can also affect humans. If lethal impacts are not observed, oil can make fish and shellfish unsafe for humans to eat. Oil spills don't just affect the organisms in the ocean, but also the ones around it. It will create a domino effect, which will eventually impact the ones on land. Oil spills are more common than we think. Thousands of oil spills occur in U.S. waters each year. In California alone, there have been at least 44 oil spills, each over 10,000 barrels, or 420 gallons, affecting California's beaches, shorelines, and waters. One of the worst cases was the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010, where 205.8 million gallons of oil was spilled into the Gulf of Mexico. Only about 25% of that oil was recovered, leaving more than 154 million gallons of oil at sea. This deeply affected wildlife throughout the Gulf of Mexico, including marine mammals, sea turtles, birds, fish, and invertebrates. According to the Center of Biological Diversity, more than 82,000 birds, 6,000 sea turtles, and 25,900 marine mammals were affected during the spill. This lasted a total of 87 days, making it the biggest oil spill in U.S. history. 16,000 total miles of coastline have been affected, including the coast of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida.
Okay, guys, so this video went directly and talked about the effects that oil spill has. Most oil rigs are found in the deep waters. And if you guys, sorry, if you guys saw which one was the biggest one, it was um, the one in 2010, and there is a movie about it. If you have seen Deep Horizon, um, they've had a movie based on this specific incident, and that was the biggest oil spill that has been recorded in history. It lasted 87 days to be able to clean most of the oil in the ocean. Now, this happened in the Gulf of Mexico, not far from Belize, the coast of Belize. Um, but the oil spill mostly affected the coast of the United States. And they did mention how many animals, how many birds, how many sea turtles, and how many marine in general were affected by this oil spill. So now you can imagine taking almost 90 days, that is almost 3 months, to clean this oil that had been spilled into the ocean. Now, oil does not mix with water, but that does not mean that it does not affect the marine life. And this is like a cycle. If an oil spill happens somewhere and you have fishes or any marine seafood that ingest this, and later on we catch that fish and we eat that fish, that is a cycle. So even us as people that eat these seafoods can end up being affected. Another thing that was mentioned was that it affects reproduction, and that's why we have abnormal animals later on being born and being discovered. It's not that it's a new species that has come up, but it's the same species that gave birth but has been affected because of these things. So in the chat, I want you guys to write one thing. I know that most of you might have the similar answers, but one thing that caught your attention, that is affected, and it could be direct. If you want to say it has killed about 9,000 sea turtles, you can go ahead and say that because that was something that impacted you about this. So one thing that was a negative effect of oil drilling in the chat. All right, at the count of three, everybody sends. One, two, three. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's see. You have mammals, birds, sea turtles can be affected. Very good. It can affect humans as well. Very good. Wildlife and habitats. Very good. Especially if you have oil spills where you have coral reefs, and we talked about coral reefs, then even their habitats are damaged. Um, we saw about dolphins and whales. Dolphins have a blowhole, whale have a blowhole, and if that blowhole is covered because of the oil, then they no longer can breathe. And if they ingest it, their lungs are affected. Animals can die of hypothermia. Very good. Now, hypothermia is when you die of the coldness of the environment. So, because, for example, birds and certain mammals that live in the waters have fur, for example, they showed otters. Otters live in the water, but they have fur. And you have birds such as this one that is still on the screen. When their feathers and their fur um, get caught up with oil, then the oil causes all of their fur to stick together or their feathers to stick together, and they can no longer combat the coldness of the environment and they die from freezing. The death of animals, and it affects the marine life. Very good, very good. So now let's move on to the last one. And the last one is basically talking about fisheries. And we're going to talk about Belize, even though quite a number of Caribbean islands talk about or use fishing because it's an island, they do fishes. Um, Belize is one country that produces a lot of revenue when it comes to the fishing industry. Belize has productive fishing grounds. We have rivers, we have shallow waters, we have areas that have mangroves and seagrass beds. You have the reef, the barrier reef, you have the different island reefs, the Turnip reef, all of these reefs that that are habitats for fishes and for other crustaceans. And there are fishing grounds in deep waters and beyond the barrier reef. So Belize has a wide, vast variety of places where they can get fishes from, be it freshwater fish or saltwater fish. We have areas inland where fishing can occur, and we have areas on the coast where fishing can occur. All right. So now this last video that I'm gonna show you guys doesn't really have any negative impact. In fact, I was trying to find one that had negative impacts, but I couldn't get one that talked about what I wanted to show you guys. But this last one basically shows fishing as a tourist sport. All right. So I'm just gonna play the last video for you guys. See if you can. Okay, so that video basically just showed that there. Sorry about that. I forgot my mic again. Um, that video basically showed that even though fishing itself, we can fish and we can sell the fish, but fishing also brings other sources of economy to Belize. So, for example, this video that I found was a tourist that came to Belize and he paid some Belizeans to take him so that he can experience fishing and fishing in that way. So, there are different local small businesses in Belize that do provide services like this. They have a boat and they offer to take tourists on trips and they give them the full experience and tours of being a fisher person in Belize. So now, Your assignment, the second assignment that I have posted in Google Classroom, is to create an informative flyer. And that is the key word, informative flyer, about oil drilling in the Caribbean. And when we're talking about oil drilling in the Caribbean, we're talking about oil drilling in Trinidad and Tobago. Your flyer is supposed to include the following: the definition of oil drilling. What is oil drilling? Right? You could go and use the information that I have in the content section in Google Classroom, or you could go online and you can get a definition for what oil drilling is. The location in the Caribbean where oil drilling occurs, Trinidad and Tobago. Everybody should have Trinidad and Tobago for that one. The effects on the environment, flora and fauna. So basically what you guys put in the chat, that is what you're going to put for that one. And then the last one biblical through line we should be practicing. So now you guys saw what oil drilling is, you saw the effects that oil drilling has caused. Now having all of that in mind and knowing that all of this is happening, what is one true line that I should practice because all of this is happening to the flora and to the fauna and to everything in the environment? And you do that on one paper. This is a flyer, so one paper. And because it is a flyer, then you use your creativity, decorate it, whatever it is that you want to do to it so that it looks creative. You can hand make it. You can go ahead and cut out pictures, draw pictures, color it, write it, or you can do it electronically on a Word document, on a Google slide or a Google Doc. All right? Anybody has any questions? Very good. If it's all clear to you guys, then we are finished for today. Anybody has any questions before I dismiss? Foresee. What do you mean foresee? Um, For C, it says effects on the environment, flora and fauna. That's just what you guys put in the chat. How has oil drilling affected the environment? How has it affected the plants? How has it affected the animals? And basically, when we're talking about oil drilling, then we're gonna say it kills sea turtles, marine life, crustacean. It causes for fur and feather animals to experience hypothermia. It destroys seabeds and coral reefs. All of those are what you're going to put for C, right? And at least one. Only one is 3 points. So one once you're describing it. So don't tell me it kills animals. What animals? Does it kill polar bears? Am I supposed to guess what animals? So be specific, right? So that is for this activity. You guys are free to leave. Have a great rest of the day, guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.